Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here today. I wanted to have a quick chat about seat height while I've got a couple of bikes here which I can demonstrate the difference in seat heights. One of the things I see really commonly spoken about by experienced riders who've often spent a number of years building themselves up to the point where they can jump on any motorcycle regardless of the seat height is telling people seat height doesn't matter. You only need to get a toe down. It's fine, it's okay. You just build up the skills. And unfortunately, this is really bad advice for the vast majority of new riders, particularly shorter riders, because while a year or two down the track, you will no doubt be able to handle a bigger, heavier bike with much less kind of contact to the ground. In those very early stages where you may not have very good road skills, you most certainly probably don't have good motorcycle skills unless you've got a background in dirt riding as a child. There's so much to learn and there's so much to think about that having an easier reach to the ground, it doesn't necessarily need to be 2 feet down flat, but 1 or most of 1 foot down is what I would personally recommend, is probably the best choice for you because it is quite easy to drop a bike, particularly in those early stages. The ground can be slippery on the road, particularly if you're riding somewhere with lots of traffic. There can be all kinds of hazards, and one of the things that we really want when you're learning to ride a motorcycle, we want you to get through those early stages and build up those skills in as safe and really a carefree environment as possible so that you will enjoy motorcycling long term. A lot of people have one crash or one drop and they quit motorcycling and never try it again because they're just so scared from that one experience. We don't want that to happen to you. We want you to be riding in 5 and 10 years time and encouraging your friends to ride in a safe manner. It's not to say that this is going to make sure you don't drop a motorcycle or you don't crash. However, there's enough risks out on the road, whether it's stuff on the road, bit of oil, bad drivers, other motorcyclists may be doing something that's not safe or sucking you into poor behavior. There's enough issues out there that can really cause you some grief without adding more in those early stages where you don't have the skills and you don't have the experience to really handle a heavier machine. Now the Ninja 400 here, I think the seat height's about 785 millimeters. One of the lowest seat heights you will find on a naked bike or a sports bike without going down to a cruiser. The cruisers can get significantly lower, but as far as a general style motorcycle, that is a pretty low seat height. Jumping on, I'm 180 centimeters or so. Feel like I might be shrinking in my old age. I've got about a 32-inch inseam as well, and I find personally I can quite easily sit on a bike significantly taller than this. But for the shorter riders, you are going to want to find a machine where I would say, as I said before, 1 foot down flat is probably good. Most of 1 foot down flat is also good. I would not go tippy toes on both as far as getting a foot down. When you expand your riding skills, you will find that you can often offset your position on the bike and get 1 foot down flat where you'd otherwise be on tippy toes on both kind of feet. But for a new rider, I just wouldn't recommend that. You don't want to be balancing the bike like this. And sometimes you'll pull up at a set of lights, you'll put a foot down, there'll be oil on the road and your foot will just go out from under you. If you've got at least a better kind of contact point on the ground, there's less chance that's going to spell disaster. Now, when we go from something like the Ninja 400 to a taller seat height, we go to something like the 390 Adventure. It has, off the top of my head, 845 millimeter seat height. So that's quite a bit taller than the Ninja 400. This one here has the lowering kit. So lowering kits are available. In some cases, it's a linkage. This is a full suspension kit, which obviously is a bit more expensive, but brings the whole bike down 25 mils. So I think it's either 825 or 835 mils now. Brings it down 25 mils. And obviously I'm not in motorcycle boots, but I've got both feet pretty flat on the ground. It's not the most even ground here, as you can probably see, but I can reach the ground quite easily. And certainly the 1 foot down on the ground, nice and easy. So again, if this bike had the standard suspension setup, it'd be taller again. I'd still find it quite manageable as an experienced rider. However, for a newer rider, the taller you get and kind of the more tenuous you reach to the ground, the more challenging it gets. And I'm going to demonstrate just how true that is on the WR. So on the WR over here, this thing is super tall. I think the seat height is 930 mils, which should give you an idea of just how much taller even than the 390 Adventure this thing is. And while it's got long travel suspension, which it sinks into the suspension quite a bit, which does reduce that seat height down a little bit, this is a much taller machine. It's also much lighter, but for a new rider, again, we're really talking about those learning stages. And while I would definitely say for me as an experienced rider, I kind of got the balls of my feet down on the ground, which I think is quite good for me. If I put the comfort seat on, it raises this bike up even more, another, I think, 25 mil. The D606 knobby tires also raise it by about an inch compared to the standard trail wings. This is quite a tall machine. And while for me as an experienced rider, I really love my WI250R, but it's quite tall. And for a new rider, if you're barely getting a toe down, it's going to be a lot more stressful starting out. And that's perhaps not the best choice for you. Now, if you're someone who's ridden dirt bikes as a kid, you've probably got the experience to handle something like this and to deal with that quite easily. If you've got no experience at all, not even bicycle experience, it's going to make it a bit more of a harrowing experience. And that's perhaps not the best thing. You got to decide, of course, because some people really like pushing their limits. But if you want to keep it safe and easy and really kind of grow into your riding, it's sometimes better to play it a little bit safe and go for something a little bit shorter. So overall, I guess the thing we've got to say is, on the one hand, the people who are saying, oh no, you can jump on anything, you don't need to reach the ground, it's a very contextual statement. They are right for experienced riders or people with intermediate experience who've spent a bit of time on bikes. However, I think for most learner riders, when we give advice, we're talking, number one, in broad generalities, and we're trying to make the entry into motorcycling as carefree, easy, inviting and fun as possible, and minimize those risks. And certainly, if you want to do that, do not buy a bike which you can barely touch the ground on. Down the track, as you upgrade your motorcycles, you can certainly do that. But as a new rider, don't listen to all the hype about people saying, oh, I can do it no problems now with a couple of years riding under their belt. Because the difference between them and you is that you probably, if you're watching this video, don't have those years of riding experience under your belt, and you won't for a couple of years, and you could be making a really poor decision that's going to really bite you by listening to that advice without really the context that should be provided with it. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, whether you're a new, prospective, or experienced rider. As always, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.